Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news. Within the last hour, we've learned the escaped inmate who sparked a 3-day manhunt has been captured, where authorities found him in North Carolina just before 2 a.m.
And weather-wise this morning, it is a very comfortable start for us. Just a little bit of humidity, but we're watching some chances for rain as we head into the weekend. We're going to talk about when they get here coming up.
And only on WRAL this morning, you will hear from a woman who survived a shooting in which her best friend and her best friend's child were shot and killed.
Grateful, that God spared my life and allowed me and my daughter to still be here.
Hear her story of survival, despite a domestic violence shooting that led to the loss of her best friend and child.
Good morning, everyone. Great to have you with us on this Friday. We have a lot to tell you about, but the big breaking news is that the convicted murderer who escaped from Orange County has been captured, and we'll have details on that in just a moment. We appreciate you joining us. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Lovegood in for Jeff Hogan. Yeah, a lot to get to, but first let's start with weather with meteorologist Anthony Baglione. Anthony, today, sort of a copy and paste as yesterday, but things may be changing over the weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be very similar for us today as what we saw yesterday. So decently manageable humidity levels. We start to get a little bit more unsettled into our weekend. Looking ahead to some rain chances on Sunday, which we'll talk about here the next time we meet. Let's get us outside, though, this morning. There's a look at the dew points in the white box, which puts us in the tolerable category when you're in the 60s. 68-degree temperature, though, in Raleigh, 70 in Fayetteville. When you see the temperature and dew point together like that in Clinton or Goldsboro, that could lead to some fog. So we're going to watch that here as we go through the morning. Climbing up to a high, though, of 89 this afternoon. Should be a beautiful day. Looking ahead to Sunday, though, we do have a level 1 severe risk for the entire area. A few isolated storms that are on the strong side could be possible for us. So we're going to talk about that in addition to where we're going to see Hurricane Ernesto going and all the threats that could come along our coast, guys, coming up here in a few minutes.
Breaking news. Within the last hour, we've learned that the inmate who was on the run for more than 3 days is back in custody. Authorities captured Ramon Alston just before 2 this morning in Kannapolis. That's about 30 minutes outside of Charlotte. WRAL's Monica Casey joins us live from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Monica, a lot of relief this morning, and officials tell us Alston was found at a hotel in Kannapolis.
That's right. Alston was captured just about 2 hours from where he escaped here in Hillsborough. FBI, Charlotte SWAT agents, Kannapolis police, and Charlotte Mecklenburg police made that arrest. We know Alston is a convicted murderer. He escaped Tuesday around 7 a.m. from UNC Hospital's Hillsborough campus while still in his handcuffs. More than 300 investigators from 19 agencies worked this case. Officials say he is now being taken to a high security unit in the state prison system where he will resume his life sentence and face new charges for this escape. Now, we have repeatedly heard law enforcement say over the course of this investigation, if you help Alston, you will face charges. And now someone does. Jacobia Crisp was arrested in Alamance County. She is charged with felony aiding and abetting a fugitive. Live in Hillsborough, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
Raleigh police say a woman is critically injured after she was hit by a car on Pool Road. The crash happened just after 9:30 last night near Beverly Drive. Video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker shows the large police presence at the scene. Pool Road was closed between Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Beverly Drive as officers investigated. We've made phone calls to try to learn the condition of the woman who was hit and any charges the driver who hit her may face.
A man was seriously hurt during a shooting in southeast Raleigh last night. Just before 8 o'clock, police say the man was combative to first responders as they arrived. This happened on Campanella Lane, that is, near Dandridge Drive, just before 8. Now, video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker shows officers restraining the man so they can get him to the hospital. We are working to learn more about what led up to the shooting and whether police have made an arrest.
Vice President Kamala Harris is making a campaign stop in Raleigh today. She's expected to propose some economic policies, including some that target rising grocery bills. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live at RDU Airport this morning. And Kelsey, the rising cost of goods continues to be a major concern for voters.
Renee does, and the economy is expected to be the main focus of her speech today. So Vice President Kamala Harris should be arriving here at RDU in a few hours. Today's visit comes just one day after President Biden joined her on the campaign trail for the first time. This visit is also on the heels of Donald Trump's recent campaign stop in Asheville. Harris is expected to talk about cracking down on the meat industry. She says that's to blame for higher grocery prices. North Carolina is the biggest poultry and egg producer in the United States. Federal data shows North Carolina chicken farm sales tripled between 2019 and 2022. Here's a look now at Harris's schedule for the day. She's set to arrive at RDU at 12:45 this afternoon. The campaign event is set to start at 2:45, and then she's scheduled to fly back to D.C. just before 5 o'clock. So we'll have crews keeping you updated on what's going on throughout the day, both on air and online at WRAL.com. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live at RDU.
Harris's visit comes 2 days after former President Donald Trump visited Asheville for a rally. Tomorrow, Trump will be in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania for an event. This will be the second time he has been back to the state since the assassination attempt against him in Butler. Harris will also visit Pennsylvania this weekend. She'll be in Pittsburgh on Sunday ahead on the National Democratic Convention, which starts Monday.
Happening this morning, Durham's Mayor Leonardo Williams will announce a new fund that benefits nonprofits that help local youths. The Bull City Future Fund will offer grants to programs that work with vulnerable youth communities and are struggling to make ends meet. The money will be raised in partnership with the United Way and the Triangle Community Foundation. Today's press conference will be at the Boys and Girls Club, and that starts at 9 a.m. Raleigh police say violent crime is down in the downtown area compared to last year, but they're concerned about an increase in thefts involving cars and possible firearms that could be within them. RPD held a community meeting last night at Roberts Park to give a snapshot of downtown crime. That includes Glenwood South, Fayetteville Street, and Moore Square. They say the increase in car thefts led them to start a new auto task force in June. So far, that task force has recovered more than 40 vehicles. Raleigh Police Chief Estella Patterson says her goal is to reduce car thefts citywide by 5%.
U.S. officials say Russia appears to have diverted several thousand troops from occupied territory inside Ukraine. This comes as Ukrainian troops push farther inside Russia. National Security Advisor John Kirby says they're working to figure out exactly how many troops Russia is moving. Sources say multiple brigades have shifted to the Kursk region. That's the same area where Ukraine launched its operation last week. Ukraine says it's captured nearly 400 miles of Russian territory since the start of its surprise assault, forcing tens of thousands of Russians from their homes. The city of Rocky Mount is seeing another change of city manager. Here's a live look at Rocky Mount Mills. Only about a year and a half since the current office holder was sworn in. In a special meeting yesterday, it was announced that city manager Keith Rogers Jr. is on administrative leave. He will be replaced by interim city manager Peter Varney. Varney also served as interim city manager after the previous city manager, Rochelle Small-Toney, retired from the position. She was put on administrative leave after going over her state-funded meal allowance by more than $1,500.
Only on WRAL, we are hearing a woman's agonizing story of survival. Her best friend and her daughter were shot to death. This is Micaiah Page. She and another man were shot too, but they lived. Investigators say they believe this was a severe case of domestic violence in Wilson County over the weekend. Page told WRAL what she believes may have prompted Daquan Jones to open fire on them, his girlfriend, and his 6-year-old daughter, Zoe. Page says Zoe did not want to leave her home, causing Jones to snap. He first shot his daughter, and then his girlfriend, Kiera Massenberg. They both died.
He came in there, and he put the gun to my head, and I'm just begging and pleading to him. Calm down.
Page said as she was running for safety, she was shot twice in the neck.
This morning, Hurricane Ernesto is now a Category 2 storm as it makes its way closer to Bermuda. It could bring up to 15 inches of rain, and that's bringing concerns about flooding like we're seeing in Puerto Rico after the storm passed there earlier this week. Hundreds of thousands of people in Puerto Rico remain without power today, 3 days after Ernesto brushed the island as a tropical storm. The storm dropped up to a foot of rain in some parts of Puerto Rico. The private company in charge of the island's power grid says it is working around the clock to restore electricity.
UNC's Lee H. Roberts will perform his first official access chancellor today. He'll be welcoming students as they move into Carmichael Residence Hall this morning. And Roberts was unanimously voted chancellor last week after serving 8 months as the interim. UNC's first day of class will be Monday.
Several people have been charged in connection with actor Matthew Perry's death. What they're accused of supplying him with just 2 months before he died.
And an attempted child abduction in Michigan caught on video. The moment an aunt jumped into action to save her niece from being kidnapped.
And we'll give you a live look at North Hills this morning. It is going to be a nice start to the weekend with humidity staying low, but rain is on the way. Meteorologist Anthony Baglione will join us after the break with your weekend forecast.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
Welcome back. The time now is just about 4:44 here on our Friday morning. Let's get an update on the tropics because we've had some changes to this system overnight. Nothing major, but it is now a Category 2 hurricane as opposed to a Category 1 yesterday. Ernesto is sitting at 100-mile-per-hour winds currently, and you can see there is some northwesterly wind shear right there, kind of blowing some of that convection off to the side. The latest track, in fact, it looks like we just got a new one. That's why those boxes are a little bit off. No major changes, though. We're walking through this together, but I still think it's going to be a Category 2 at its peak, and then it will push past Bermuda with a landfall in Bermuda early Saturday morning, and then get up there potentially toward the Newfoundland area past that into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So high rip currents for our area.
All right, thank you, Anthony. Multiple people have been arrested in connection with Friends star Matthew Perry's drug overdose death. Perry drowned last October following an overdose at his L.A. home. Federal prosecutors say several people here have been charged. This includes 2 California doctors, a drug dealer, an alleged narcotics distributor, and Matthew Perry's live-in personal assistant. Authorities say the 2 doctors were Perry's initial provider of the drug, illegally selling him 20 vials for $55,000 over 2 months. He then turned to a drug dealer known as, quote, the ketamine queen, who allegedly sold him that fatal dose.
A Michigan man accused of trying to abduct a 7-year-old girl from a park is now facing charges. The whole encounter was caught on surveillance video. It shows a man grabbing the girl and running off with her. He's later seen putting that girl into a white car. The child's aunt saw it happen and jumped into the car to stop him. Authorities say the man who tried to take the girl is 23-year-old Endi Bali. He's also accused of trying to do the same thing to a 15-year-old an hour earlier. He's now in jail on a $2 million bond.
The Democratic National Convention gets started Monday in Chicago, and we're getting our first look at the big stage. Organizers are putting the final touches on the transformation of the United Center into a convention hall. Thousands of Democrats will be there. Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, are set to formally accept the nomination. President Joe Biden, former President Barack Obama, and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will be among the speakers at the event.
The Secret Service is planning to start putting former President Donald Trump behind bulletproof glass at campaign rallies. It's something that's commonly done for current presidents. An official says the Secret Service is also planning to increase the number of agents at Trump's events. This all comes a month after that assassination attempt on Trump in Pennsylvania.
A 16-month-old girl is dead, and her brothers are in the hospital this morning. This is after an Amber Alert chase ended in a crash on the Maryland Beltway. The baby died after being flown to a hospital yesterday morning. Virginia Beach police say the children's mother was stabbed and they were taken by their father. Dana Plummer then drove the children into Maryland, where a chase began. Plummer then lost control of his car and then crashed, according to investigators. The children were taken to the hospital where the baby died from her injuries. Plummer was charged with murder, among other charges. The 2 boys are doing okay this morning, and they are still alive at this point. Drivers, just a little heads up for you. If by chance you plan to drive through Nash County, this is something you need to know about, specifically on US 64 today. There is a road closure that is in effect. US 64 is closed at North Old Carriage Road for repairs and maintenance. A detour is in place for westbound traffic.
WRAL is your home for the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers will be at Bank of America Stadium for their next preseason game against the New York Jets. You can catch all the action on WRAL tomorrow night at 7.
All right, definitely if you enjoyed yesterday, today You're going to like what Anthony Baglione has to say. Though, Anthony, we are having a possibility of rain over the weekend.
Yeah, it looks like our better day, Chris, would be into Sunday, which we're going to walk through that here in just a second. But today, very similar to what we saw yesterday. I was out at the pool yesterday afternoon. It did get hot, but humidity levels felt so much better. That is what we're going to see here as we continue through the rest of today into this afternoon. Our dew points right now, so we talk about this all the time during the summer, that measure of the moisture in the air, they're in that white box. They're currently in the 60s. Our temperatures are mainly in the 60s as well. Looks like Fayetteville has jumped up to 70. They're very close, though, in some locations. And so when that temperature meets the dew point, it's almost like getting all the moisture out of the air, kind of wringing a rag out. And that's why we could see potentially some fog condensing out of the atmosphere there in some of those areas. We're not seeing major problems or any problems right now, but that's something I'll continue to watch. We go through today, notice all the sunshine. It'll be beautiful. We head for a high of right about 89 this afternoon, a little bit below where we should be for this time of the year, but right on par, I would say, for this time of the year overall when we look at the entire state. We look ahead to Sunday. So here's a look from the Storm Prediction Center. They put out a level 1 risk of strong to severe storms. This does not look like a big severe threat for us, but you notice it includes most of the state right there. So let's walk through Futurecast on this one. There's 7 o'clock Sunday morning. If you have plans early on, there could be a couple light showers. This is not quite a high-resolution model. We should get that later today as we get closer, but it still gives you a general idea. Maybe a few light showers in the morning, closer to lunchtime, especially south and east. None of this looks particularly off the charts concerning or just concerning in general as far as severe weather. We get into the afternoon. Again, some scattered storms are possible, so we will be here all day long. I'll be here Sunday afternoon. We'll walk through that kind of if we get any storms to form. We check out the tropics. Our biggest impact from what is currently Hurricane Ernesto is going to be in the form of rip current threats along our coast. There's where we are, of course. There is Bermuda. Here's the center of this storm system. It's a Category 2 hurricane right now as of the latest 5 a.m. update. No major changes with that. It still takes it in Saturday morning there as a Cat 2 for Bermuda and then continues to push up to the north. Still is a pretty strong system there. Tropical storm, or what we call extra tropical, when it gets that far north, potentially into next week. 89 for us today, 90 tomorrow. Some scattered storm chances there into Sunday, guys. But look at next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, low to mid 80s, low humidity, morning temperatures in the 60s. It will be very nice.
Goldilocks weather right there. Anthony, thank you. People are getting sick from cucumbers linked to a salmonella outbreak. How many people have reported an illness here in North Carolina?
And a new summer program is teaching students the importance of protecting our environment, how they're helping clean waterways in the West. We know you asked for it. That's why we have a first look at Travis Kelce's acting debut. I know, very big news this morning. And MTV reveals the recipient of the 2024 Vanguard Music Awards. Ashley Dvorkin has that and more in the Hollywood Nation.
Drive. Go, go, go.
Twisters storms home, Perry scores a top honor, and Kelce makes his acting debut in the Hollywood Nation.
Something is happening.
Ryan Murphy released a first look at his new FX series, Grotesquerie, which gives a glimpse at football star Travis Kelce's first foray into acting. He stars alongside Niecy Nash-Betts, who plays a detective investigating a string of heinous crimes that have unsettled a small community. The horror drama premieres September 25th. Katy Perry will receive MTV's coveted prize at the 2024 Video Music Awards next month. The global superstar is the recipient of this year's Video Vanguard Award. Perry will also perform a career-spanning medley of her biggest hits during the ceremony, which airs live from New York's UBS Arena September 11th. Irish rock band The Script dropped their new album, Satellites. It's their first major project since the passing of their beloved guitarist, Mark Sheehan.
What you're going to get from the album is a really clear and honest diary from the age I am and the age that we're living in, and trying to make sense of all the things that are going on around me, from love to loss, from life to grief.
Twisters spins into home entertainment, the blockbuster Disaster sequel, which earned more than $310 million at the global box office, is available to rent or buy digitally. The home release includes deleted scenes and a gag reel. Glenn Powell, Daisy Edgar-Jones, and Anthony Ramos star as the new generation of storm chasers.
If you feel it, chase it!
It's such a good movie. If you feel it, chase it. A warning before you prepare lunch today. Health officials say they've linked recalled cucumbers to hundreds of illnesses across the country. The CDC has reported over 400 illnesses in 31 states that are linked to a salmonella outbreak from Florida cucumbers. In North Carolina, we know of 22 people who've gotten sick. No deaths have been reported. The FDA says strains of salmonella was found in the canal that the grower uses.
High school students from across the country are getting a rare opportunity. They will visit some of the most remote parts of America. Students from several states, including, yes, here in North Carolina, are spending time in Wyoming. They're joining a Trout Unlimited expedition. It's the first season for the conservation group's new program. Students can help create clean water in the West. Trout Unlimited repairs rivers so they can become better habitats for fish. This project is part of a 5-year federal grant to improve drought resiliency. The hope is to create stronger ecosystems across several Western states.
For me, it's the idea of keep making something viable for more than just our generation. You're kind of giving back in a world where we've taken so much.
Applications for next summer's Trout Unlimited expeditions will be available in the spring.
In Orange County, Hillsborough police officers are collecting school supplies they will give to local students. They are taking donations today at the Hillsborough police station. Officers will also be outside Walmart on Hampton Point Drive from 11 until 4, taking donations.
A woman is seriously hurt after being hit by a car in Raleigh. What investigators are telling us about the crash this morning.
And breaking news, the escaped convicted murderer who sparked a 3-day manhunt is back in custody. He was captured at 2 o'clock this morning, where he was found and the person arrested for helping him.
And gymnast Anna Barbosu will receive her bronze medal today. A controversial ruling that stripped the award from Jordan Childs.